Dear Andrea, dear Simon, dear Martin, dear Sigmar, it is a pleasure to be here with you in your Congress. Thank you very much for your invitation. In my office in Madrid, in the party headquarters, I have a large photograph on the wall. The picture captures an exciting moment. President Kennedy and Willy Brandt, then mayor of Berlin, greet from their car the crowd gathered in the streets. It was the famous trip of the American president back in 1961 to a city that had just been divided by a concrete wall. I must tell you that this picture has become very useful to break the ice with the visits I welcome in my office. I always begin by saying that it is an inspiring image to leaders in their best moment look into the future with optimism. But for me, the most inspiring part of that picture is not just the leaders, it is the crowd, the people, the crowd in the street. At a time of great uncertainty, with the Cold War threatening peace in Europe once again, there is no fears on the faces of these people. There is instead emotion, there is confidence, there is a determination, there is optimism. Above all, there is hope. And precisely what social democracy has always represented for the people in Germany, in Spain, and in the whole Europe is hope. When hope fails, when people do not look at the future with optimism, but with fear and resignation, the only ones who benefit are those who promise receipts from the past. That is why we cannot allow fear to impose itself over hope. We have to fight those who promise that the only alternative is to turn back the clock of history. We need hope against those that offer simple solutions to complex problems such as climate change, technological revolution, inequalities, and, of course, major global threats such as immigration or terrorism. My dear comrades, I come from a country that owes a lot to your party, to the SPD, and especially to men like Willy Brandt, someone who witnessed the fall of democracy in Spain, and someone who also 40 years later supported together with his party, your party, the great SPD, the recovery of that same democracy. All of Spain, not only the Socialist Party in Spain, but especially the Socialist Party in Spain, will always have a debt of gratitude to the German social democracy. Today, my dear friends, Spain is a consolidated democracy that proudly looks back to the road traveled along these 4 decades of freedom. A democracy governed by the rule of law. A democracy that integrates diversity in a federal way, such as here in Germany. A full democracy that today faces an old threat, which is unfortunately not foreign to the recent history of Europe, which is secessionism. My dear comrades, the secessionist challenge in Catalonia is not only a threat to the integrity of Spain. It is also a threat to the European project as a whole. It is the European values that are at stake, values that are based on a closer union, never a division and lack of solidarity, values that are based on the need to knock down the walls of mutual incomprehension, values needed to face common challenges against which the old frontiers of nation-state can do nothing. And above all, the values of the rule of law, because nobody is above the law in a democracy. My dear comrades, in the Spanish democracy, the defense of a political project is legitimate, also for those who hold pro-independence positions. But nobody can break the law, and nobody can break a democratic constitution in the 21st century in Europe to achieve political goals. And the pro-independence movement decided to break the law precisely because they know that they do not have a social majority to democratically change the law. They do not have a social majority, even in Catalonia, to do this. So in the face of this serious constitutional crisis facing in my country, in Europe, the Spanish socialists have not remained idle. We have been very critical about central government actions or inactions. They have made important mistakes, among others, the incapacity to establish a dialogue and the inability of the Spanish right to understand territorial diversity as a treasure and not as a threat. And every day that passes, I am more convinced that Spaniards are fully aware that with the socialist government, this situation in Spain would never have reached this breaking point. We can be critical. We can be critical of the government, and we are, but we will never be disloyal to the rule of law and our Constitution. We have continuously made calls for dialogue, falling in the deaf ears of those who have only chosen the fracture and the division of a very plural society such as the Catalan one. We have made calls to rebuild bridges with dialogue initiatives, to talk about how to improve the self-government in Catalonia and to reform the Spanish territorial system. To all those calls, my dear friends, the independence movement has always answered with silence. They even have decided not to participate in the parliamentary commission that we proposed to confront the territorial issue. Nevertheless, my dear friends, we will never give up on dialogue. We will keep claiming the space for politics. Dear comrades, the terrorist organization ETA is about, in the next weeks, to announce its definitive dissolution. It is great news, expected for a long time in Europe and in Spain. First of all, I would like to remember those who suffered the most from the injustice of terrorism, the victims and their families. Secondly, I want to highlight the essential role of judicial cooperation in the framework of the European Union in this victory, because without this cooperation, we would never have achieved this triumph. This is the Europe that is worth fighting for, the Europe of cooperation, the Europe of integration, the Europe of solidarity, the Europe that stands on shared values and appeals to a civic demos to transcend borders, the Europe for which it is worth reformulating a great constitutional agreement. Dear friends, we need you in Europe strong and united, walking side by side, shoulder to shoulder in the construction of a social Europe. We need to rebuild all together the social contract broken by the crisis and right-wing policies. One of the great lessons we have learned is that our organization, the SPD and the PSOE, have to open up to society. We need to seek answers to the challenges of the new technological revolutions which are changing our societies, a response from an optimistic vision with confidence in the future. Dear friends, the voice of social democracy needs the inspiration and strength of a party like the SPD. We know it is a very difficult moment for progressives in Europe. I'm not going to deny it. But keep in mind something. The darkest moment is always the one that precedes the dawn. Dear friends, I started this speech remembering the power of an image. a moment of hope and no fear in the eyes of the people. Hope and no fear. My dear friends, let's do it again, and let's do it together. Many thanks.
Lieber Pedro, nochmal vielen herzlichen Dank für deine Rede, auch für die optimistische Botschaft. Ich glaube, dass die hier sehr gut verstanden worden ist und angekommen ist. Wir freuen uns, dass du dieses Zeichen der Verbundenheit, der Solidarität heute ausgesandt hast. Und wir werden auch in den nächsten Monaten und Jahren eng weiter in Europa, aber auch zwischen unseren beiden Ländern zusammenarbeiten. Also noch einmal herzlichen Dank dafür. Liebe Genossinnen und Genossen,